important than that.
Amazing.
Go for it.
Let's go again. All right, guys. We needed some extra time to make sure that we are audible, but we are back with you, and welcome to 1.3 update. Fire support. You know, this support brought apparently so much destruction that it destroyed our microphones as well in the process. So, we call this update internally a monster update. Why is that?
Oh, because it's a very big, scary, and destructive, as you said. Don't shoot mortars into the office, apparently. Yeah, it has a lot of fire, it has a lot of power, and it's gonna change the game upside down for many of you.
Awesome. What are the sample features that you're bringing in?
Yes, so I think the most destructive here is the addition of mortars, so indirect fire support, and then we also have very armed helicopters, gunships, and we have new vehicles like LAV and BRDM, where LAV is bringing 25mm cannon, and all of those destruction can now affect buildings and trees.
Oh, wow, that's exciting. Maybe before we go into the game, shout out to the chat. If you have any questions, let us know. We might answer them in the end. But first, let's kick off the showcase. What do you want to show us first?
Yeah, so also I wanted to show how easy it is to use Game Master to actually play with those features in semi-safe environment where no one is kind of hunting you like on PvP server. So the American vehicle LAV-25 in 2 camo patterns.
Amazing.
That's how it kind of looks. It also sounds very good, but we will get to it. Then we have gunship versions of UH-1, which sports those rocket launchers on the side, but still have machine gunners as well. And we have it in few versions. One is with high explosives, and the other is high explosives dual purpose rockets. So that's basically American side, and then we also have Russian side, where we bring BRDM2. I'll put it kind of far away, just so we can use mortars on it. So BRDM2 also comes in 2 versions, one for Soviet side and one for FIA camo pattern, and then we have Mi-8 gunship with insane amount of rockets.
Oh my god.
Each of those being deadly and being able to kind of kill a person, but you shoot them with in bursts, so you don't have that much precision as for how many you want to fire. So that's a kind of disadvantage of that setup. And then we have mortars. Now mortars you can find in compositions or in vehicles. The one in compositions have this whole nice setup of sandbags around it, and then arsenal box where you can replenish ammunition, and that's how this is Russian one? No, that's American one. I placed it wrong, so let me just relocate it. This is American one, and I want a Russian here, which gonna be here. Okay, now that's how it looks. They are both around 80mm caliber, and they have quite significant range in game, so you can hit targets up to a few kilometers. So yeah, I'm gonna spawn some officer and show you how it works in game. Let's first visit the LAV. So it doesn't have entry point for driver such easy, but in the back you can get as a passenger. You can also open those doors and enjoy how our new lighting system in vehicles works, which basically allows the light to be a bit more dynamic, not flat.
Yeah, that looks amazing.
Very dark sometimes as well.
Realistic.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah. And another cool thing is that we can now have working hatches, so I can open the hatches to different positions. I can get as a crew in those positions as well, using our amazing animations. And then when he closes the hatch, it becomes a bit darker. Of course, I can switch between seats, just like in any other vehicle. I can open the hatch with the, on PC it's a Z key, and I can also, completely new feature, I can turn out, which means put yourself out from the vehicle for observational reasons or for communication reasons. You can use certain gadgets to help navigate and so on. And then you can actually shortcut this by holding Z. It will do those things. Of course, also available for driver, which is very useful when actually driving this. Let me show you how it sounds. I'm not sure if you will. I hope it's audible, but it has very nice feeling to the engine. Oh, and also the cannon. Now you will have to hear the cannon. Let me get in, switch to a gunner. We have a new user action menu, a bit tweaked, so you can see it's a bit different than the previous version. That's how it sounds. That's the main 25mm cannon. Now I'm using. Oh, we have a bug. What's on the bug? That's a safety round, and that's a high explosive round. And then you will hear it from inside. So it should feel powerful. It's a very big shell. It should be deadly, and it can be delivered on very long distance. This has a quite big zoom and can be really precise if you want, or if you're not me, I guess. So that's the LAV, and then we have also Russian option. I shouldn't do this. Eh? Klamacz, what are you doing?
The audience is asking if I'm a couple today with Jeff Bezos, by the way.
Yes, I should bring my Occupy Mars t-shirt, right? Just to make you confused. Okay, so this is the BRDM. It looks very similar to BTR, just is a bit smaller. Doesn't have crew positions. It's more nimble. It's a bit faster, but it has also the same armament. So it sports 7.62 and 14 point something, yeah, 14.5 caliber guns, and those are good enough to fight with LAV, as you can see. So there's LAV burning out there. They sound also pretty good. Okay, actually, let me drive it for a moment, just so you can drive it. Okay. Did I destroy it? No. Okay. Also, I have eco. It's okay. Cool. So you should hear a bit different engine sound as in BTR. So hopefully you can recognize it from afar, even in the game. What are you really facing from the opposing side? Also, the light. Look at this. Okay. So those are the vehicles.
Did the vehicles, by the way, come with some new outfits for the crew?
Yes, indeed, they are.
Can you show them all?
I will have to spawn the arsenal. Let me just find one. So, yeah. So we have both tank outfits for both American and Soviet side. Something just exploded. showing me the right. Yeah, so we have tanker pants and tanker jacket, and then we have a tanker helmet somewhere. It's this one. So that's the Russian setup.
Awesome.
I may have a photo of my grandfather in one like this. And then on American side we also have a tanker outfit. It's just a single, this one. Single
It's an
unit.
overall.
Yeah. I never know which one is this. This one.
Amazing.
Yeah, so we have, beside that, we have the mortars. And the mortars are great because they can deliver the fire over long distance, even if you don't see the target. But the aiming and how do you really use it is pretty much the same in both cases. Do you see the target or not? So I'm gonna show you very basic how do you use the mortars. Just put it away. Okay, so I will attempt hitting those objects out there. I think it's like 500 meters at most, maybe less. So when you aim through the mortar as a gunner on it, you see this new UI, which on the top shows you the azimuth and on the left shows you the elevation of your tube. And then on the right side you see a little hint, which is actually, you can turn it off in settings, which tells you for particular type. Right now we have high explosive for rings. It tells you how far this round will reach with current setup. So then when I start modifying my angle, I can run through the distances, and I want to aim at something which is like 500 meters away. It is possible, but what you may notice is that the tube is almost vertical because it has a lot of those rings. Rings add the velocity speed, making this go further. So what I can do with one PC with V, I can change the prediction for a different setup. Let's say I want to go with 0 rings, and then I can range that mortar from basically from 50 meters, very close distance, to I think the maximum is around 600, 700. But let me aim, oh, actually 400. So let me try to hit it with single ring. Find some like a 500 meters distance. Okay, and then that's basically the aiming. So I set up the tube. Hopefully it looks very vertical.
Because I think it was 4 rings just now again.
Was it? Let me check.
Yep.
You're right, actually. I wanted 1. Yeah, 500 meters, 1 ring. Now, when I take the round, I can take it in hand, and then I can inspect it and change the amount of rings. So we can see the rings down here, and I can change amount of them. So I want 1. This setting will get saved, so now whenever I pick the next shell, it will already have this 1 ring, and I can approach the mortar and simply drop it inside. My character will duck, covering himself from overpressure area. If you are unlucky to stand right here when shot is being made, you may get incapacitated, so be careful about it. And let's see when it lands. There is a very useful tool called ballistic table. I will show it in a second. Actually I overshot, it's a bit behind. So inside here we have ballistic table, and you can open it and read basically for every type or configuration of shell. You can see what should be the elevation, what will be the time of flight, which is good for coordination of this fire with other players. You can also modify the values depending on if you are higher than the target or lower, as for elevation, and you can switch pages here, so we can actually look at different data. What we were filing was just this 1 ring, and we fired it at 500 meters. So this is basically as real as it gets. Our intention with mortars was really to show complexity of how it's being used, how complex it is to actually fire it accurately over a long distance, how much calculation, how much thinking, how much communication is necessary. It actually is good if multiple people try to coordinate themselves and use that weapon system together, which makes it, you know, both harder, but also it's very powerful system. So it creates a nice balance.
So you're not giving away more power for free, basically.
No,
It
it's
comes
not
with
for
a
free.
cost.
Yes, it's definitely not for free. You have to work your way through using it and learn. And then you have, this was very, very close shot, but where's my map? I don't have a map. But if you want to hit something further, you basically have to do a bit more math. You have to open the map. You have to do compass reading. There
There
was
on
map?
top. Yeah, next to the compass.
Why am I blind?
Next to compass.
Of course. So if we know that we are somewhere here, probably somewhere here, I could mark my position, and then using something called protractor, which I can rotate. You can measure the azimuth and you can measure the distance to your target. So technically speaking, you use this, draw lines, and you figure out your ballistic solution for a given shot, and then you go into the mortar, aim it, and fire. And you should correct this aiming every few shots, because mortar has a recoil and it gets less accurate the more shots you did.
How do you expect all of these changes and additions will change the player behavior?
Well, it will be easier to push out players from fortified positions. So if there is a base of enemy which has a lot of people and a lot of material, shelling it with mortar will be very effective tactic, and it will probably force people to build bases wider, to not be in obvious positions, but also to search for the mortars and try to destroy them before they become really a problem. You can hear them on very long distance. We actually managed to implement something called long range sound for that, which helps, because then you can try to track them or even triangulate them if you have reports from multiple people.
Mm-hmm. And how will you think the addition of the explosive vehicle capabilities change the meta as well?
Well, it seems from the experimental that the meta right now is what I just got in. It's the American gunship helicopter, the Huey, with rocket pods. It's very nimble. It doesn't have many of those rockets like Mi-8 has a lot. This one has a few, but it's very accurate, it's very fast. It's, I guess, easier to use and easier to aim at things than this bigger, bulkier, less agile Mi-8. So this seems to be meta now. Be on your lookout for low-flying Hueys which deliver death.
Yeah. Speaking of vehicles, should we cover the topic of periscopes maybe?
Yes, as the LAV and BRDM and all our vehicles do not have working periscopes yet. This is something we know we plan to tackle with time. So expect that in the future updates. And we also want to do it better than current available solutions which you can find in mods. So we're looking at some optimizations and new approaches, but it is still being worked on, so I cannot really spoil it. Here is how the Huey explosions from rockets look like. Also very cool thing, wait a second. So very cool thing new in this update, which is useful especially for those helicopters, is that you can, when you want to fly with your mouse, your screen gets centered, but now you can modify your angle, so I can look like this and still have a control over the mouse, or I can look like this and still have a control over the mouse. Like the screen gets centered only in horizontal plane, but you have a control over vertical plane. So it may be very useful for people which like to fly with the mouse to be more precise on the rocket strafe runs, or during landing, or in another situation. A small thing. So here is the gunship. you can open and close this collimator. It also has a range table on it, so if you want to try firing very far, you can try to basically aim it with the helicopter and use it like almost as indirect fire support. Also, you can use this weapon panel to select if you want to fire from left or right wing, and also if you want to do salvos, with how many rockets you would do it. So right now I set 3, but I think it will fire 3 salvos. Similar mechanism is done for Mi-8, which I will quickly just delete that thing. There is a similar mechanism over there, but it's like it by default fires a lot more rockets, so you have a bunch of them, but you cannot really spend them as precisely. But I would still say that Mi-8, with the amount of Arma and amount of those explosives that it carries, that's gonna be very scary thing to meet. So yeah, here you can go 4, 16, 8, 4. And also you have a bit different selection. On the bottom right you can see new head-up display, which is configured for the weapons on helicopters, so I can select which rocket pods I want to have active. That gives you some of the flexibility of what you want to shoot. This is in real life mostly done for reason of spreading the load, I think. Like the weight of those missiles matters, so you want to empty the external pods first before you go to internal to keep the weight centered, something like that. But I'm not really, professional pilot, so I cannot tell you. And then all those tools, all those very dangerous and powerful things, what they do with the world is another interesting aspect, because they can change the world into a more empty one. So what we also have, I'll jump to the GM effect straight. We have those effects module added in 1.3, and that gives Game Master ability to spawn few things, mortar barrages, smoke, flares of different kinds, to kind of spice up their scene or their gameplay for the community which they're playing with. So let me just make it a bit darker for a moment, so you can see the beautiful flares you can create here. Some smoke barrage, and then we will do a lot of explosions. How it looks and how the buildings get destroyed. Now, when they get destroyed, they leave behind ruins, which can still use for defensive purposes, but they are pretty much flattened, so places change drastically after bombardment. Like some area which is typically in the game, this will be common choke point where you defend incoming forces, usually from there or from there, because that's where conflict base is. When this whole area gets leveled, it becomes different. The paths that in which enemy can take and approach you are different. The space is more open. You can see things better, but also you can hide worse. So it really flips the experience upside down.
Would you have any advice to change the strategy in that case?
Well, first, try not to be in the buildings when they are getting shelled. That's unadvised. Don't do this, because you may get leveled in the building. The same applies to the rocket helicopters. If you hear those rocket helicopters incoming and strafing the whole area, try to not be there, or try to lay down behind some sandbags or other fortifications. Explosions, when they happen on the ground level, and if you are laying just even close, but you are covered by some object, you may actually survive. Try not to be all together in one place and visible. When you're firing at helicopters, don't use tracers. And listen to the shots. Listen to the mortar shots. If you hear one, assume that in around 30 seconds something will land on your head. Maybe you don't want to be in the same spot. Be aware, because the game will be a lot more deadly for average player.
And how would you advise building a base differently, if at all?
Actually, here I'm looking forward for people's experimentation. I've seen on experimental branch, when we had those features released, people were spending some time and investing supplies into trying to build those fortifications bigger and more complex with multiple routes. They can now also use barbed wires, which are a very powerful thing, and I need to show you this because this will affect your life a lot. Okay, so something like that, which previously wasn't really that deadly, you could just not walk through it, you couldn't jump on it, you couldn't climb on it. Right now it may actually kill you quickly, so I am able to walk through it, I get slowed down, but also what happens is that I get cuts, and those cuts, you may get many of them. You can actually cause bleeding on multiple limbs at the same time, which then becomes a problem if you have only 2 bandages or maybe 1 tourniquet and you're trying to survive it. And if you're unlucky, if you are in the dark, you didn't notice, and you actually walk through it more than you should, you may not survive. So
Yeah.
be aware of that. And also probably you want to use it for defensive purposes in places where you see enemy infantry incoming often.
And there was a question from the chat. What will happen if you stand next to the building that's being leveled?
Well, everything will be shaking. You will have troubles observing anything. Let me just heal myself and show you. But you may actually survive. If you are not directly in and nothing falls in your head, you may survive. You may actually survive that. Let me see if I can... what did I do? Oh, yeah. Okay, so... let me see this. Alright. So, you see, nothing clipped with me, my screen is shaking, there is a bit of effect, but I was lucky enough to be just outside, so nothing fell on my head and I didn't die. If you are inside, you're probably gone.
That's fair. A couple more questions from the chat about helicopters. Given that you add more and more functionality to them, is there something like HOTAS support planned?
Can we really talk about this? I don't think we can talk about this.
Stay tuned. And what about parachutes?
Oh my. Okay, I don't want to spoil anything, but I'm excited about parachutes.
Yeah.
Parachutes are cool.
Parachutes
I wish
are
to have
amazing.
them. I just cannot promise anything.
Fair enough. All right. So if we cover the destruction part,
Let's show some more exciting things.
exactly. Let's try some scenarios. We are introducing something new this update, right? For people
Yes.
with a bit worse internet connection potentially.
Yes. So we are bringing the first single-player scenario, playable content, and this is the mission elimination, which you can find in the scenarios list right here. Now this is for a single player. It has an objective of killing this enemy Soviet officer. You basically send alone as a special force behind enemy lines. It happens in the Regina, which is a less maybe known part of the Everon, but also still beautiful and interesting. And we have a bunch of features in that mission which didn't or weren't really used in other places, maybe beside tutorials. So we have some voiceovers, we have some special animations, and we have some little events that can happen where you have to observe and understand what this officer is doing and how to find him and how to kill him and then get extracted. You can use distractions, you can use radio in a very special way which is also kind of new feature specifically for that scenario, and it's very replayable. So even if you manage to conclude it, finish it in let's say a few minutes, with completely different approach, it may take you a lot longer, and many different ways to do it. Definitely play it, enjoy.
It's also quite replayable, right?
Yeah, like you can play as a sniper, or you can take M4. I think it's M4 with a suppressor. There are a few ways you can use other friendlies in a way of distracting, or other ways. Multiple approaches, and the longer you take to observe and to find this officer, the more little surprises you may find in the scenario. So feel free to explore it.
It's a good also learning opportunity, right? If you're new to the game and maybe PvP scenario might be a bit intimidating at first, it's a good way to train.
Yeah, definitely. I would say it just adds yet another way for you to enjoy the game without stress of facing real players, or be afraid that maybe you're not up to speed with what is happening in typical PvP conflict. You could already play training. Now you can challenge yourself with this elimination. You can always use Game Master to create your own little situations and scenarios. And of course there is a combat ops, which is a bit more dynamic and big, and even more challenge, and usually it's good for smaller groups, but also can be done solo. So you have already like 6, let's say, scenarios that you can play alone.
Amazing. And AI won't tell anybody
No.
how you play. Speaking of AI, can AI fly now, or will they ever be able to fly?
Actually, no, they cannot fly. Inside elimination, we do a helicopter flyby in one moment, but it's scripted. We are thinking about it, how to allow game masters to use helicopters in more cinematic way, but there is no clear plan on implementing it. We didn't put it in the code yet, so don't expect it anytime soon. It's just I also wish to have it.
Fair enough. Shall we jump into some multiplayer fun?
Yes, because we also have actually, when we are here, we added few variants to conflict versions. So now we have those. I think it's a Western Everon and Montignac, which are new. And Montignac specifically is interesting variant of conflict because it centralizes it around the biggest city on the map, Everon, and it makes it very a lot more linear, a lot more structurized. So if you're looking for more condensed gameplay with very clear front line and area of operation, then this smaller conflict is a good thing. I still love and prefer the actual big conflict on Everon.
I can see the join queue is working.
Maybe let's put us out so people don't see which server we join. Like last time, it was cool, but yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I'm gonna pick some server. Now, what is important?
Jump between servers, you guys. Find Klamacz.
We have a Arma
Kill Klamacz.
No, don't tell them. I want to have fun, like a calm fun.
Yeah,
nothing crazy.
let him live. He joins official servers often enough for you to kill him on other occasions.
I specifically didn't play for 2 weeks to be rusty, and so you don't feel,
Too bad in comparison to
exactly,
you, of
yes,
course. Yeah.
yes.
Thank you, Klamacz.
That's exactly the reason.
Thanks from the community. By the way, the guys are loving the update, and we have a lot of questions coming in. So I'm gonna sometimes throw off questions, even if they're not related to what you're currently talking about, because we get a lot of them. All right?
Yeah, sure.
Awesome. Maybe while we're loading, do you know if we're ever gonna get collapsible heavy MGs that can be assembled by a crew on the spot?
Yeah, so I may have some thoughts about it or some info, but basically, first thing, we promised the disassembly of mortars. Mortars are being delivered in 1.3, but yet you cannot disassemble them and move them around. That's something which we want to add later, and as we work on it, we also want the feature which drives it, which technologically allows this assembly to work, be compatible with all the other turrets. What's gonna happen with it and how far we will push it, that's unknown yet, or I cannot really predict that far. But I'm, let's say, hopeful.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. And what do you know about the persistent save system? Will it only be full loadouts and radio on the servers, or will it also be something more complex in the future?
I cannot speak for details of that yet. It's still being developed. So we definitely want to handle actual saving of typical single-player scenarios like combat ops progression and even elimination or any other scenario that we may have. We already in this version releasing a sharing of Game Master saves, so they should be visible in the workshop. That's a new feature which we want you to play with and give us feedback, but it's just one of the steps towards better serialization. There's a lot more things, smaller technical and how they are used in game, how they are integrated. I don't think it's basically too early now yet to go into really details and promise you anything.
Fair enough. Alright, so now we're jumping into conflict.
Yes.
What you doing? What is your strategy?
So first, the two biggest changes in conflict which you will encounter when you join is rank limitation and then different capturing of bases. So those are the biggest. There are many smaller ones, like for example we changed the capacity of the supply track to make it more bigger capacity, so you can transport more supplies, which helps the logistics. But the rank limitations, I guess, they will have huge impact on how you play the game and how your typical gameplay looks. So now when you open Arsenal, instead of being able to pick anything you wanted, you are limited to your current rank. You can always check it when you hold G. You can see I'm private, to be able to unlock something I need to do meaningful stuff like capturing objectives, killing FIA or enemies, transporting supplies, building compositions in bases, defending the bases on the front line, and so on, transporting my friends. There are many ways in which you can gain that XP and rank up.
And what are you trying to address with this change?
Well, the biggest issue, I guess, was that because everything was available, there was not really gradation of value of those things, and the supply were disappearing because anyone could take the most expensive loadouts, didn't have to care about accessibility of those, and that single one player and his enjoyment and ability to play with all the tools was affecting kind of everyone else. We want to treat it in a way that this is organization, this is army, right? So logistics and allowance of what you can take, what you can use, depends on how high you are in this hierarchy of the structure of the army. And there needs to be some rules, there needs to be some limitations. It's not free for all and complete chaos. It's organization, and this organization depends on the logistics and delivery and usage of supplies to be able to effectively capture the area and control and fight the enemy.
And won't it be a bit boring for the new players now that they cannot do everything at once?
Well, you can always do anything at once in GM. If you want to play with all the tools and all the items, you want to try sniper rifles, you want to try the most advanced vehicles, you can always do it there and learn and practice. But when you play in PvP open world of conflict, where the whole team is trying to achieve some objectives together, then we don't want you to be trolling through wasting supplies. We want you to be part of that organization. So we're not taking away your ability to play with the toys, we're just putting in a different place. You can do it in GM. Also, ranking up is not that slow. In a matter of hour or two, you can rank up enough to have access to cool stuff.
Sounds good.
So yeah, as you can see, as a private, just a fresh, let's say, player, I have access to the basic M16 and the one with underbarrel grenade launcher, and to M249, which is a smaller out of the squad support, assault weapons. If I would rank up to corporal, I would get access to M21, but without scope. So you can still use it 7.62 caliber and iron sights and be very efficient with it, but you cannot use it as a full sniper. So there is a gradation of what you get given as you progress, and maybe you can also recognize advanced players by looking at their loadouts, I guess.
Mm-hmm. That's a good tactical suggestion.
And like if you want to follow someone who seems like he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
Also, many people like this large combat backpack to carry stuff. Now you really have to play a bit to get access to it.
Can this rank system be turned off by the server owners?
It's a good question. I think yes.
Try it.
Definitely anything can be modded, right? The fact that we didn't have a typical thing, we don't have a friendly fire or generally damage limit in main HQ base. Like right now I'm inside main HQ, anyone can shoot me right now, but there are mods which not allow applying damage in this area, making it safe, and that's easily it's moddable, so anyone can configure those features as they wish. They just need to create mods for their server.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the second very important thing about the I don't have a. It's just routine. I'm just used to get. You don't see it.
Klamacz is cheating.
No, I never cheat. I just teleport.
You can log in.
Hmm?
You can log in.
Oh. Okay. I don't know what. So the thing I wanted to talk about is capturing of bases, right? So right now we are here, but let's assume for the moment that one of those our blue bases is being captured by enemy. In previous games, you could still spawn on it. Let me just. What's going on? I'll just go back to the deploy screen to show you, but
Do you want to put the overlay so you can actually start showing GM if you want?
no, I don't want to spoil my tricks.
Yeah, no spoilers. Alright.
So basically right now I can spawn on any of those bases, and that's how it always worked, even if that base was overrun by enemies. In 1.3 we're disabling that, so as soon as you see this icon blinking, you may get a notification, you may get a radio message that one of your base is being attacked. If there is more enemies in that area than friendlies, it will be such occupied that you cannot spawn on it anymore, and that forces you to regroup in nearby bases, move there to be able to defend. It will change the game quite significantly. Previously it was fairly easy to keep spawning on the bases which was contested, but it also led to the situation that there was a lot of spawn killing. People were frustrated that either you have an invincibility timer as you spawn, but it runs away. It was kind of unfair for both sides, not really cool gameplay, sometimes quite frustrating. So we wanted to make sure that you do not spawn directly under fire in such uncontrollable environment and basically being killed instantly. You have to spawn further in the other base, find friends, get vehicle, transport over there, assault, regain control over that area. Hopefully it's only one guy hiding somewhere in the bushes. Maybe you can drop some mortar ordnance on it just to make sure, but you have to go there. You cannot just spawn there.
Fair enough. And speaking of the destruction and the heavy vehicles that can deliver that, are you planning something even more heavy, like tanks?
No comment. I'm not commenting that. I don't want to talk about this.
You guys can see how hard it is for Klamacz
No,
to give
I
no
cannot.
comments to you. You are pushing him with your questions.
Like, please don't put me in a situation when I could leak something accidentally. I'm trying to avoid that. Like, can you cut my sound if I say something stupid? Thank you.
We're just gonna do very loudly. All right. But is there? We were not gonna comment on anything tracked vehicle related. Do you maybe wanna comment on if there are any new weapons that are coming that you know of?
Yes.
People asking for M79, for example.
M79 isn't a grenade launcher. That would be cool, but that's like Vietnam era, right? I don't think it's gonna happen.
Yeah, this
you
is
already
out of
have-
our time scope.
Yeah. Also, you already have UGL, so you have the same capability basically. Though we do have plans for a few weapons. I already mentioned somewhere we're gonna have 2 launchers, but I don't want to say anything more about it. But they're coming and they're cool.
Awesome. Speaking of mortars, was there any like professional advisors involved? Like, how do we design these features that are so based in reality, authenticity, physics? Like, what is our process?
Actually, mortars are interesting in a way that we worked on those for many years. In fact, we started it, I think, more than 2 years ago with some implementations already and art assets. And then there was a lot of different people joining the efforts and implementing their parts. We had to work on multiplayer aspects, on audio aspects, on animation and user, and the fact that you operate it from outside, you're not really sitting inside when you throw the shell into this, or how this shell is manipulated. A lot of effort went into making this as complex as a step-by-step, as deep as possible. We didn't want to repeat Arma Free Artillery, which was just a click on the map and someone will die. It was too simple for the power of that. We wanted mortars to actually be like the effort you have to put into using mortars is proportional to the value you get out of it, which is the distraction you provide. So the more actions, individual actions and effort you as a player have to put into this, that's better. That's, from my opinion, our opinion, better, because that balances out the high explosive which you deliver, which you throw at people's heads.
Yeah, and the learning curve, I guess, also helps with that as well.
Yes, there is a field manual page about it where you can read more. I think it's actually, you can find it here somewhere in weapons. There is a mortars, and it goes through details of how to use protractor and line drawing and map to figure out your azimuth and distance, how to aim it, what are the elements, and so on. Shells, and also a bit of hints on how do you counter this as someone who has to deal with those, how to find them, how to kill them.
And as Klamacz was showing before, you can always train this in GM before going to a PvP server.
Yeah, definitely. Another cool thing about mortars is that can be controlled by AI. So when you have your own group and you can recruit AIs, then you can put them to use the mortar and give them a command to actually shell a particular place. We are aware that this may be a bit overpowered at the moment. Guys, don't abuse it to destroy everything. And we are working on some tweaks, so stay tuned.
Regarding AI, did you bring any changes to AIs with this update?
No. Very slight. Nothing to worry about. Just try to change your direction when you run or drive. Like, don't go in the straight line for longer than 2 seconds. That should help.
That should help you to experience no changes at all, huh?
Yeah. So we improved the code which relates to how AI leads the target. So how they understand your trajectory, basically, and also the ballistic trajectory of whatever they're shooting at you. So now they should be a lot more accurate in places where you're moving fast. Or let's say you're driving with vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
But for example, when you fly a helicopter, and if you fly too slow, if you're not applying any pressure on this AI, for example, suppressing them using side door gunners, then you may encounter RPG in the face, and that's not very pleasant.
Not surprising. Regarding artillery, do you have something like artillery raiders planned?
No. No, we don't. Um,
Modders might.
Modders might.
Make Arma Not War 2025. A modding competition is here for everything that Klamacz says definite no to.
I guess if you want to save yourselves, you're gonna have to mod some simplification for yourself.
Fair enough. Is it Backblast now in the game?
Yes, we added Baglast. I know we said we won't, but then we thought about it and then we added it because, in fact, we find enjoyment in adding features which makes your life harder when you play the game. The more you suffer, the more often you die, especially for environmental reasons, like something happened and I just died. You get flipped out of vehicle or backblast because you were walking too close to a big cannon. Yes, and those are very realistic, and I hope it will teach someone to stay away from those big cannons in future and save someone's life maybe. But yeah, backblast is on. You didn't see that. Backblast is.
So environmental reasons dying.
I just hit something, I think. Backblast is done on all the rocket launchers, so don't stay in behind. And if you are shooting them, try to like inform your friends, inform colleagues that you're gonna fire one. Also, it is configured on the mortar, so if you standing very close to the end of the tube, this overpressure may incapacitate you. And even as you are dropping the shells, it is possible to interrupt that animation if something is really happening. I don't know, you're being engaged, you really need to stop doing what you're doing and get to cover. You can interrupt that animation, but be aware that the shell which you dropped in the tube is still sliding and it will go out and it will create this overpressure. Don't be around.
Amazing. Okay says hi, by the way. Keep calm and default pasekas.
Okay. Hey, okay.
Hi. When are you going to add 64-player US servers?
We are. This was said many times, but we are constantly optimizing the game to be able to run bigger numbers on the server. Recently, you may notice that we're running stress servers, both 128 and 64 capacity in different regions, and we were gathering the data from those servers to kind of determine how far we can push it with what hardware. So we found some interesting data, and we will be applying it soon enough. But this is something unrelated to particular updates, so we don't even need to update the game just to correct configure the servers. It will happen in some time, though I cannot say if it's gonna be 64 or it's gonna be 49 or it's gonna be whatever other number. We'll find the number and then we'll announce it.
Awesome. You've just been driving and people were asking about AI driving. They're mentioning that sometimes AI road kills each other and acts a little weird on the road. Is there any plan to improve the driving situation?
Only when players stop doing this. When you stop crashing and you stop flipping and I stop seeing videos on Reddit that you flip and everyone dies, then we'll fix AI. What about that?
Well, yeah.
I'm joking. It's actually a complex thing. If you drove the car inside Arma Reforger, then you notice it is actually difficult. So
as Klamacz demonstrated a couple minutes ago.
I really don't remember. What is he doing? Is he loading? Okay. Any other questions?
When are you adding set damage and attached to?
Attached to is kind of exists. You just don't call the script attached to, but you can configure slots on your prefabs to be able to attach things and make stuff with it. And I've seen cool mods where a simple vehicle had so many objects and additional things attached to them. It looked like post-apocalyptic, up-armored, Syria-like thing.
Oh wow!
So it is possible already. What happened here? Oh my goodness! I think he's stuck. I'm gonna help you.
Friendly killed. Oh.
And now it works. You see? I fixed it.
Oh, and now you're sitting there.
Okay, someone will kill me. I don't want to do this. Maybe I'll better take different vehicle. We have, maybe I should mention that we have planned to update the game 1.3 because it went out today, but we already have plans how we were gonna be patching and tweaking and bug fixing and maybe even adding some additional things to this 1.3 which you are enjoying today.
Mm-hmm.
Fair.
Now that Karma has been restored, will the servers have an ability to deactivate environmental destruction? And will it be like some more dynamic environmental destruction in the future, or is it not planned?
So as for the server disabling it, that is being considered, but I cannot give you a certain like date when we would do it. We want to see what modders or big server communities will do with their setup, see what's really necessary. We're also observing performance impact, a lot of aspects, because you can almost level the whole terrain. You can destroy every tree and every building and almost every prop that you see you can level down. So the impact on the amount of data is quite big. We need to observe that. I think it's a good idea to have some settings for server admins to actually be able to configure whatever they want. But my opinion is default behavior of the game should be the war is destructive, and that's what we are showing. It changes the beautiful green, cinematic environment around you into something gray and sad, and that's how it works.
Can fortifications be destroyed as well?
Some, yes, it already been working. Like the sandbags can get destroyed partially. Like this will explode eventually. I shouldn't do it so close, and like someone will kill me. So there is a lot of smaller compositions which get affected by destruction. But yet, like the main composition, even if partially will be destroyed, it will be still functional, and that's something that we want to look at later. Basically, how the destruction of compositions should affect your bases. Should you rebuild them? Should you repair them? Should you clean up the mess before? There's something we'll be tacking on later.
Mm-hmm. Are you planning on adding any other factions, by the way? Something like British forces or...
No. No, there are no plans for adding any additional, any new factions to the game.
It's not in the lore, I guess, right?
I guess lore is a question to other people than me, and maybe there will be some places in the lore to have different factions. But for us at this stage it would be more of a problem than a value, and I think modding scene is such powerful and such creative that they will cover most of those needs. Like British forces, there is a mod for that, and Spanish forces, there is a mod for that, and Polish forces, there is a mod for that. Russian forces, definitely. Like, I'm not sure about Czech forces. Like, guys, maybe there is. No? I've heard one.
Well, if there is not, there should be.
There should be. So
somebody should get on that.
We cannot do all the possible armies, and then we don't want to also play favorites like add Canadian or something, because we have many fans there.
Mm-hmm, fair.
It has to kind of fit, and we practically don't need those in vanilla game to make the game better.
Yep. Does Backblast work indoors?
Yes.
Will it kill you?
Possibly. It can bounce from doors. So if you have the walls. If you have a wall just behind you, this backblast will bounce, get stabbed by this wall, and it will affect you more. So you may get incapacitated by your own backblast if you do it wrong.
Is there something planned, like addition of full screen mode?
Full screen mode?
Mm-hmm.
This is full screen.
People keep asking.
Okay, there was a long time ago.
Yeah,
there was this vanilla full screen from previous DirectX. I heard about it, and from what I heard, we are not going back to it because all the standard changed, and we are using the most modern way of approaching the full screen problem in this DirectX which we are using. I think there are no plans to change it.
Chad is also asking how is the progress on the new map that we're working on, the Kolgrev that we announced.
I could give you the percentage progress, like a progress bar. It looks great. I've seen it.
It's beautiful.
It's very beautiful. It has a lot of elements and features of it which makes it feel different, and also a lot of those elements modders could be using later to create their own maps with their own feeling. So yeah, it's exciting. I don't want to say exactly what it is and how it looks, but it provides a unique environment, and some unique assets. I'm really trying not to say.
Guys, stay tuned. We're working on it. It's coming. It's beautiful. It takes some time because we're trying to make something new for you and not just another iteration of the same thing. So, good things take time.
They do.
Was there any interesting systems put in for modders with this update, by the way?
Actually, probably yes, and you should check the changelog because there is a long list of modding changes. And I kind of expect that if you are modding, you are looking at script APIs and particular features of the engine which are possibly now available. Definitely look at the gunship helicopters because they have something about using remote turrets. So as a pilot you can operate the pylons, the rockets on the pylons, and that's actually remoteness. So this may be useful for your vehicle. But yeah, definitely read through and find out. I don't even remember all of them. There must be many.
There is a reason why it's called the monster update, guys. The changelog is pretty long, so if you have any particular question about the changelog notes, let us know. But will we see stabilizers for LAVs later?
So there are a few features inside with LAV, but also with BRDM and BTR, which we are still thinking about adding. So for BTR, we are working on commander turret. We're trying to basically move some of the technology which we added for BRDM, the fact that you can have optics. BRDM also has a controllable light. We want to move some of those features back to BTR. And also then LAV, we have a bunch of things that we want to do with how the optics work, how the commander seat works. I know that there are missing smoke grenades, and there is missing gun stabilization. With the order of, as I said, this is the order of difficulty, with the gun stabilization being the most far in future and difficult to achieve, so the least probable to happen.
With the tree destruction, are bushes destructible as well, or is there any love for them planned?
Actually, that's a good question. Smaller trees, they should be destructible already. I think that we had, I'm in GM, I cannot really do this now. Grenade, I guess. I know there is Ace mod has a nice solution where you can destroy the bushes using shovel. But no, at this moment we don't have a simple distraction for bushes. Probably something we should look at when you already level everything down, what is there to level, and then you see what's sticking out, and then we add those distractions next. You may find some objects hanging in the air after the building collapsed, or little props which weren't properly destroyed. There is just so many items and props and things placed on the map. We have to add distraction to each of those. That's a lot of work. That's thousands of assets. That's you know better than me how many thousands of work days it is for our artists. So just be patient. If there is something missing, we're probably thinking about it, and we'll probably add it in the future, sooner or later.
Yeah. It's years, you guys. Like, if you look into the work plan, it's years of work. And I'm not saying that it's gonna take us years, but a lot of our team is working very hard to bring all of those updates for you.
Yes.
Will there be some additional effects like burn or holes on the ground?
So we already have some little decals when, especially on like mortar strike or big explosion. I think you will see this decal. He's like maybe a meter size, and it has a bit of shader-based hole, but it is not actual terrain destruction or terrain deformation. That technology is not available to us at the moment, and we will not have it.
Yeah.
So we may try to, as usually in game development, we talk about smoke and mirrors. We can try to smoke and mirror that thing with a bit of assets like in Arma 3, maybe some crater which sticks out, a bit more decals, but don't expect anything breathtaking like really big craters, holes in the ground. That's not happening in Reforger.
Does the new map already have a statue of Klamacz on it?
It has a statue, but someone else.
You'll find out soon enough. Guys also asking if they're able to hold hands with their buddies as they run into the open fire of this new monster update.
I guess only virtually. No, but you could rest your MG on someone's helmet as you move slowly towards the enemy. It is certain, physical contact.
That's what we call squad cohesion.
But yeah, generally I don't advise being too close to each other because of those explosions.
For safety.
Yeah, like spread out. It's bigger than a grenade, okay? Here we have actually destroyed some of the sandbags and some of the effects of destruction. I'm not sure if this was mortar or just vehicle, grenade, whatever.
Will there be a way to repack magazines like there is in DayZ?
I know a guy who promised me this, and he still didn't deliver.
And I hope that guy is watching.
I hope he's watching. I could tell you who it is, and then you could put up a bit of pressure on him. But I'm not gonna do this.
Because you're nice.
I'm nice, but
Yeah.
he knows I could do this.
Is there any news on carrying or dragging your wounded comrades?
I've heard Battlefield has it. No, we are not planning. It's actually a problem. I wish we could, like in many things and many of those suggestions. I wish we could, but often they come with such technological requirements, such changes, and such quality problems, like to drag other person physically through ruins, which have a very complex geometry, where you can clip or get stuck on basically almost every edge. It is not that simple, and we don't want to deliver half done, half broken. We already did it too much. We don't want to add another half broken feature to the game. Therefore, yes, there are mods you can play with those. They have it done pretty smart, but I don't think it will happen for Reforger.
Do you have any features in these updates that might not be noticeable on the first glance, like build and destruction, but you still find them valuable additions to the gameplay?
Actually, yes, there is one. The personal documents, the things that you can find on FIA and another downed soldier. The little papers you can read, and they will have information about name and birthplace and date and a bit of description, sometimes interesting, curious info that you can read about those downed people. Maybe you captured them, maybe you just took their documents without killing them, let's assume that. But the coolest thing about it is that you can get those and then go to any friendly arsenal, and they may have value, intel value. So when you drop them into arsenal, you may sometimes get additional XP from it as you brought, valuable information to your base. So it's worth checking the downed enemies, picking up those things, aggregating, grabbing many of them, and then visiting some friendly base to drop them and get extra XP. And also read those, and you can actually find some devs and other interesting identities, characters in those papers. Like it's random, but you can find some
Easter
funny
eggs.
ones. Yeah, Easter eggs.
Awesome. Do you plan to add dirt mound building with shovels?
Oh, I love this feature. It's from Ace, Anvil Ace. I love this. The thing I don't like about this is that at the moment when you pick the shovel, it already becomes like right here in front of your face. I don't know, maybe later when we're done with the roadmap, when we have time, maybe. It is cool. I like it. And but actually, I also have seen people abusing it to create ramps on the road. So when enemy vehicles are incoming and they may not notice, they'll just flip on it or fly, and that's like a part of the ambush method, which is cool and funny, but could be overpowered, I guess.
Are you planning to add the shooting from vehicles?
Yet another feature which requires a lot of work, because for every seat, every passenger position, we would have to create animation blends, like a set of animations which defines how you use your weapon. And then we also have to do it for different types of the weapons. As launcher, you held differently than MG, which you held differently than pistol. So there is a lot of work for animators. Consider every seat. I wish to have it, and I know there is a very cool mod which showcases that feature. You can already play it. I'm sure it's on the workshop. But we may have something better eventually. It's hard. I cannot. I need to drink
water. Is there what else is actually left on the roadmap before you can go into the wild west of unplanned stuff?
Yes, so we have still anti-personnel mines, we have hand-fired flares, we have, no, don't say this, we have HQ Commander and free building, which I don't want to describe too much because it's a big thing and it still may have a bunch of surprises. And we have the disassembly of mortars, which we already talked about, and that's basically almost all. Did I miss something?
Electricity.
Oh, electricity.
Electricity when? Come on, Klamacz, electricity when?
Bacon City. Someday. We have some things, we tested some things, we played with some things, we have some ideas, we have some ambitious ideas, we have some less ambitious ideas. We have a lot of suggestions from you, from community, as this was interesting topic for many, and everyone has some imagination. How could it work? I think most important for me is that it needs to integrate with the conflict gameplay. So it has to have a meaning, it has to have a use, it has to have an impact on gameplay, either local or global. I want it to be interesting and valuable part of conflict, and that will take some time.
Yeah. How in general do you pick, because there are so many features, like half of the stream we're talking about, like, will this be done, will this be done, will this be done, and we get that all the time from the community, because of course the real life warfare is really complex. How do you pick which features will work and be meaningful addition to the conflict, and what you choose to leave out, because of course we can't do everything?
Yeah, so this is actually half of the job, I guess, because we always have great ideas, we have lots of them. We also recognize feedback received from the community, so there are many interesting suggestions and sometimes problems that needs to be solved. But in the end, there are just few aspects that we definitely look at. The first one being, is it possible to do, and how long it will take? So do we have resources and technology that give us ability to create that, and what way? Maybe we have some limitations that we cannot push it that far, but we cannot do it a bit different way. Those technical or feasibility is one important factor. Then did we promise it? How much it will impact the people? We have to look at players not in a like homogeneous way, that it's just what config is being played. There are many different types of players. People which play solo, people which play co-op, people which do game master, people which create scenarios or just test mods or make mods and make videos, make screenshots, and like I could go on, right? So this is a huge platform, and we need to think about how that feature is important for different parts of our target audience. And then the third and sometimes most important thing in that decision making is if I like it.
Fair enough. You're project lead after all, so.
Well, it's funny because I think in our team there are so many people which actively participate in the community, that they create mods or play and are part of it.
True.
That somehow paradoxically we developers are some kind of average of what community is. We have people the same which play on the single player, and people which are more PvP focused, people which do scenarios, almost the same different audiences that we have in community. We have representation of those in the team. So sometimes it's as easy as gather and ask, do we like it? Do we want to play it ourselves? It's also the game for us. We want to have fun with it. So sometimes the question and the answer is that easy. Oh, I'm getting under fire. Why? Is this? Yeah, that's an enemy.
So why does every update take us so long?
Yeah, that's a good question, Natasha. Maybe one. Yeah, like manager of that.
From a production perspective, of course, a lot of features take time because we are developing also things for the future updates, right? And even though we have a team that is dedicated to the project, cooperation between different departments, we create art assets, we create high fidelity animations and audio. Audio we're recording live, so we are finding real life counterparts to our in-game weapons and vehicles. We record, we organize recording sessions, and then we prepare them for the in-game data, and then scripters and programmers and artists, they all cooperate in order to bring the authentic experience of using, for example, vehicles, weapons to life. We also need to have time to tweak the gameplay, right? Because when we deliver features first internally, we have a lot of playtests to make sure that they actually will work in a multiplayer competitive conflict environment. And the same with single player scenario. For example, elimination scenario has been in testing for several months to ensure that it will be fun for you guys and it will be replayable, right? Because it's easy to make something that will be playable once, but that's not our goal. We want you guys to enjoy this several times, and we want you to get something new out of every experience that we provide for you, because ultimately we also know that we are providing only the example. Vanilla is the first step for you guys to add new missions and new features into the modded experience, so we cannot simply do it once and die.
Sorry, did I distract you?
So it takes us time to make sure that we deliver quality. We're bringing examples for modders, and we work on several things in parallel as well, to make sure that we have the best parallel workflows as possible. Because like this update, yes, it took us a while, but it's a massive update, and we're already working on something that is gonna come next. We want you guys to get enough new content on a yearly basis, right? So we're trying to spread our efforts and survive long term.
Yeah, I would just add that even the smallest thing that you may think, oh, it's just that simple, just fix that item, fix that audio sample or whatever else you think is wrong. Even the smallest change takes days and takes multiple people to process, and it's from QA and production and everyone who takes care of keeping track of the work and documentation of the changes,
prioritizing,
testing. Your feedback needs to be retested in game, and we have to pass it through multiple people. Then it lands on actually guy who's gonna implement it, and it may take half an hour for him to implement it. But this is just a small part of all the work. Regressions, integrations, tweaking, localizing, all of those things take a lot of time. And then we have a lot of things which needs to. What did we lose the? We lost the audio, video.
Maybe let's play a little bit.
Yeah,
Let's see the
I'm trying.
Yeah, I will shut up for a bit.
Actually, here is the example of the
Contested.
Yeah, the contested base. So now you see base is under attack. I am not able to spawn this. So what do I do, right? I could spawn here. I could spawn here. Grab a vehicle, go there. It seems that the enemy is coming from Ohio. Probably they may travel through the forest or they may travel through the main road, but that's the direction. So I could try to spawn here. Okay, another thing you can consider for the spawning position is what particular compositions or buildings are available in that base. Here I can see there is a light vehicle depot, which means I will be able to get a vehicle. I can also see that's only 100 supplies, so probably I will not be able to afford a jeep. This is not a good place to spawn. What about here? Okay, I have 2 arsenals for some reason and a fuel, but I don't have vehicles, so this is also not very good place to spawn, even if it has a bit more supplies. And then this base will have a lot of supplies. It's one of the major bases. It also is a how is it called? The port. It's port.
Port.
Okay, it's port.
Harbor.
Harbor. Yes, thank you. But I don't see. There's no nothing built here. Okay, I'm gonna spawn here because it's still, at least we have supplies. There is actually already this. It doesn't show on the map. There is something funky here. Things may get broken. No, because I'm on Calvary Hill, that's why. Why am I on Calvary Hill? That's horrible. Okay, so where do we go? We will go south, southwest. If we are here, I want to be somewhere here to basically stop people from coming this way, maybe even attack it from behind, where they don't expect me. So I should go like west, southwest. Yeah, kind of that direction. I will check, maybe I can get some cheap vehicle, something cheap. It's 110. So it just in few seconds there should be enough supplies to.
As you're waiting for
get
supplies.
one. Yeah. You have questions?
Of course, I have more questions. Is there maybe? Is there anything that you prefer the most out of warfare stuff? Do you have like a favorite time or like what do you usually research as a individual interested in the warfare? People asking about you in particular.
Oh, that's wide, because we have to touch so many different aspects. Of course, weapons and vehicles and different equipment, right, and how it works, what are the capabilities. Also, historical aspects, how it was used. So, watching all the documentaries or materials about past wars, past conflicts, like things like Iraq, first invasion of Iraq is there is a lot of material, or Yugoslavian war, which is in similar range of time, let's say, and similar equipment, similar tactics were used. So this is like where we would take the references for what should happen. But we also discuss things with military advisors of different kind. Many of our devs had some experience with military one way or another. Every detail matters. We're looking for authenticity, which comes from life experience. So this is always interesting to listen about and kind of research. I have a bunch of notes about how infantry teams behave, how officer runs around and talks to people. Yeah, I think this is interesting for me. small unit tactics, I would say, in general.
Yeah. Maybe we've answered enough questions for today. We released the update, we answered the questions. Now the guys should go and try it for themselves, and we should go back to prepare the next update.
Oh, you're asking me to go back to work instead of playing. Is that what's happening? You're my boss, right?
Kinda. I mean,
Guys,
you know.
I'm sorry. Work is waiting.
Yeah, it's been fun, you all, but we know that tomorrow you're gonna start asking us when is the next update coming out, so we better get to it.
Please don't. Give us like at least a week, okay?
Yeah,
Like,
give us some time to celebrate, you know, and tell us how you find the build instruction and everything. We're looking forward to your feedback.
yes.
Anyway, thank you so much. Thank you everyone for tuning in with us today and checking out our new Monster Update 1.3. Play it. It's out on all the platforms, and we're looking forward to hear what you think. We're looking forward how mods will change your experience with this soon. And otherwise, it's been our pleasure to show it to you and to chat about this. Thanks for all of your questions. You were very thoughtful chat today. We're looking forward to the next time, and now we're gonna go back to work, right?
Yeah, get back to work. Thank you. Enjoy.
Bye.